Hey guys, just another simple video for the YouTubes. Um, as you can see, I have moved. I think since the last time I uploaded a video. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So, as you can see, my shindang is now a little bit different, and all the main factors are the same. Harubuji, Homini, they're all still there. They're all still in their activated sacred items, and the only difference now is that they have their own room. Thank you, hubby. And there's a few additions to the Shintang. So all the same gods and goddesses that you all love so much, but yeah, the Shintang is all still here. My my kid gods are still here. Um, I think the only other couple new things that have been added since that last video from like 2 years ago, I'm so sorry, uh, are the feather fans, which is actually supposed to represent my heaven fairy goddess, and the bronze mirror, which is supposed to represent the sun and moon god. Um, there are some more additions incoming once I finish saving up. But yeah, it's all still very expensive. There's going to be more shrine items given the ritual and paintings representing them. And let me just think. Okay, it's been a hot minute, and my friend is actually about to come pick me up, so I'm trying to quickly remember what I wanted to make a video about. I did actually want to get back onto YouTube because another YouTuber, she is a shaman with another tradition, and she's just very charismatic, and I love watching her or just even listening to her. She's one of the few YouTubers or podcasters, even though she doesn't do podcasts, that I can still listen to while doing other things and actually still pay attention. And so I'll probably link that below in the description somewhere. But so because of her, I really wanted to get back onto YouTube, and I really did miss kind of the platform. TikTok can do that a little bit, but I just started kind of uploading things every once in a while. Like it's not really consistent enough for TikTok to really be my main platform. And but I also wanted to get back on here. So one primary question was how do you know that the mudong you come across is legitimate? And there's a few ways you can tell. So obviously people who haven't gone through their shinirim, their initiation ceremony, can't, or shouldn't, I should say, shouldn't call themselves a mudong. And some people will have a workaround where they are Korean and they prescribe to a form of shamanism, not necessarily Mugyo, Korean shamanism, but just shamanism in general. So they'll call themselves a Korean shaman. And I mean, that's fine, that works, obviously. But mudong specifically is about those of us who have gone through shinnerim, who have gone through the initiation ceremony, who have gone through training. And so, you know, there is a big etiquette in our culture, and our religious tradition, culture, society, whatever you want to call it, that people do not call themselves a mudong. They don't act as if they are a mudong. They don't do the services that a mudong would do unless they have gone through their shinnirim. Because if you do, then the thought is that the gods would punish you. And if it is someone who's already going through Shinbyong or spirit sickness, and they go ahead and act forward in those ways, then it's thought that the energy is just going to be catastrophized. It just basically 1,000 times worse. The gods will basically punish you. So we are the shaman priests. There is a reason we are here. We learn, ritual etiquette and rituals in general, the procedures, the whys, the hows. Even the mudangs that go independent shortly after being initiated, they at least have their gods by that point, and they can be taught by their gods, their spirits, their guides. But before that initiation, it's really hard to necessarily do. So there's another school of thought that if especially with like core shamanism that I've seen, there's a school of thought that if you're truly meant or chosen to be a shaman, that you can simply undergo like a self-initiation process. Like the spirits are the ones who initiate you, and I agree that it can happen. I've just found that it's really, really, really rare. Like it's very difficult to do that successfully on your own. Extremely difficult to do that successfully on your own, because there's so many things that can go wrong. And because you're uninitiated, and let's say you're uninitiated and you're trying to self-initiate, your discernment is typically not great, because there's no protection there from your gods, because you haven't accepted them yet, because you haven't gone through the proper initiation ceremony. So let's say an uninitiated person has kind of a veil over their eyes. In the initiation ceremony, the spirit mother will take off that veil and basically directly connect your energy with the heavens, the underworld, the spirits, and your gods. When a person tries to do that themselves, though, they may accidentally leave the veil. They may not successfully take it off themselves. They could take off half of it somehow, and so sometimes they can see properly their spirits or hear them properly, and sometimes they can't. And this will affect their discernment skills later on after the initiation or their self-initiation. And this is a big issue, because when you start taking on clients, you're taking on their energies and their ancestors and their spirits. So if you cannot adequately and successfully see, hear, have some kind of communication, it doesn't necessarily have to be auditory or visual. It can be, vibes, gut feeling, intuition. It's a lot of issues. It's dangerous. It can cause further misfortunes for everyone involved. So it's extremely difficult for someone to do that themselves. If they do try to do it themselves, and 9 times out of 10, it messes things up, they end up worse off than they started. That just makes it so much harder when they go through the proper initiation process with an elder or a teacher, that because all that energy that they twisted and gnarled up is now even worse. So they basically, when you are trying to undo like a yarn ball, and somehow it's knotted somewhere, so the more you're forcing it, the more knots you're doing and tightening them and all that. That's basically what that process is like. The yarn ball by itself, maybe there's a few knots here and there, you leave it alone, and then when the teacher comes to initiate you, take you through that ceremony, they're carefully undoing these knots for you, and so you can pull on that yarn and not have to worry about creating more knots for yourself. But for someone trying to self-initiate, they have that same kind of yarn ball. There's a few knots here and there, but they're trying to undo it themselves, and they just end up adding even more knots, more, and it just becomes this huge tangled mess. And so when they when they come out of it and they take it to the teacher and they're just like, fix this please, initiate me, and the teacher is going to look at it and be like, what did you do? Like, there's so much more work and energy and time and money involved now because you insisted on trying to do this yourself, or what have you. Like, that's why a lot of these living traditions still have these channels for people to follow. It's all to make sure things are okay. Like, it's not meant to keep anyone out. Like, I think myself and a few other, Korean shamans, or not necessarily mudangs. Some of them are mudong, some of them aren't. But they also prescribe to a form of shamanism, so I just call them Korean shamans. So we are really, I would say, involved and interested in the Korean diaspora and how they're able to connect to their culture and their roots and their folk magic and Mugyo in general. And we all basically want the same thing, is for you guys to be able to easily and readily reconnect with that aspect of our heritage. But the important factor is safety. It is very much a factor of safety. There's a lot of different negative, lowly spirits or demons, if you really want to call some of them that, that can mess some stuff up so badly. Like, they're the reasons that people end up falling into their depression and giving into suicidal ideation. Like, they're the reason that murderers are a thing, and pedophilia and all of that awful stuff. So, it is really imperative that if you're interested and you really are thinking that you have Shinbyung, you don't want to bother with a teacher and getting properly initiated, so you're going to try to self-initiate, just be careful. And I would absolutely highly advise, if you manage to do that, probably don't take clients for at least a year. Anything more than just divination anyways, because after your initiation, you're basically like a newborn baby, and you're still really young, energetically speaking, with that spiritual authority. So it's you need to strengthen yourself up. You don't go into your ceremony, like, let's say, to use Pokemon as an example because I'm a nerd, but and I love Pokemon. But let's say before your initiation, you got to level 50 with your spiritual prowess and experience. But after initiation, it basically wipes it all. Like, you evolved, but you don't keep the prior levels, if that makes sense. So you could be Charmander, level 50 Charmander, and you evolved after your initiation to, let's say, Charizard. Let's just go ahead and skip to Charizard. But you're basically like at level 1. So even though you're that much stronger and you have all these capabilities now, it doesn't mean you're automatically going to be super skilled at them. Like, that's where the levels come in. So hopefully that metaphor makes sense for all of you who aren't familiar with Pokemon. And if, you know, if it doesn't and you still want me to try to explain it a different way, maybe, just comment and I'll try my best. But that was just one of the questions out of many that I really need to start answering on this platform. And if you're interested to, you know, keep hearing more, please subscribe and share the channel if you would like. Thank you.